The Ravens can't leave the 2024 draft without addressing what position, in your opinion. They got the 30th overall pick and 9 total selections.
I think that the most basic thought, right? You can look at corner and go, okay, maybe they could add something there, right? But I think the most basic thing that you look at for the Ravens and go, they got to have this is some sort of O-lineman in the draft. I would think you would definitely see an O-lineman drafted. I would think in one of the first 2 picks, right? Maybe both, maybe 2 out of the first 3. But hey, lost John Simpson in free agency, right? No more Zeitler, he's gone. Traded Morgan Moses to the Jets. Ronnie Stanley been really good, but is awesome, but injured and going into a contract year. I would think that's the position they're looking at, and for a year to need that position, this is the year to need it, Mike. Because we're in a year where, no joke, Mike. I think you could have 10. You could have 10 offensive linemen picked in the first round.
And you've got 9 total picks for the Ravens. And look, I'm going to go beyond the obvious needs. I look at the depth chart, and Tyler Huntley's gone. Josh Johnson is the backup to Lamar Jackson. All due respect to Josh Johnson, who I think has been on every team in the NFL, the CFL, the UFL, and the Arena League. At some point, you got to develop somebody who can be your understudy to Lamar Jackson, because even though he was healthy all of last year, we've seen the history. He plays with a physicality that can cause injuries. 27 now. I want to use one of those 9 picks on a developmental quarterback that is my safety net, my insurance policy for Lamar Jackson, because I'm not comfortable with that being Josh Johnson.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. That's definitely a little risky, right? Did they see something in Malik Cunningham, right? That maybe he could be that guy, that backup. We'll see. But yeah, we talk about it all the time. It's a Super Bowl team. Are we really going to roll the dice on, we don't think our guy will get hurt, and wait, we might fall apart with our backup? I would think they're looking at something in the draft too, Mike.
Malik Cunningham, the undrafted guy who was the quarterback at Louisville, who was a receiver in New England and was playing quarterback there, and
right.
We were getting this sense that, hey, they may have something here, and then out he went, and they played that roster game, and the Ravens ultimately grabbed him, and they have him as number 3 behind Josh Johnson and ultimately behind Lamar Jackson. It's funny, you look at the defensive departures for the Ravens, but the one thing, now it might be different with Mike McDonald, but something they've always done under John Harbaugh, like whoever the guys are, by the end of the season, they're kicking the crap out of you.
No
they're
doubt.
Just a group of badass.
Yes.
And they get the most. They're doing something right, because the guys that you never heard of before step in, and by the end of the year, you know who they are, because they're getting it done every week.
That's right. And that's the hardest thing about O-line, right? O-line is just how do they feel about a guy they might have drafted in the 3rd or 4th round 2-3 years ago? They might think he's kind of ready and coming up the ranks. Maybe they're not as desperate at the O-line as we think. And, I understand that, too. I don't think they're desperate. I say O-line because I go, man, they got to think about the future and depth and, kind of building that way. But at the same time, I mean, we saw Patrick McCarry play right tackle last year, do pretty good. Maybe they move him into guard, and maybe this is the year they feel really comfortable with, Falele. I'm gonna butcher his name. The big tackle who's like almost 380 pounds, right? Maybe they feel like he's ready to make that transition and be that guy at right tackle. But I still think at some point that O-line's got to be addressed in the first 2 or 3 rounds.
That's the one thing we don't know and never will know about these teams, how they truly feel about the guys who are in the pipeline who haven't played yet. They know them better, and they make the projection as to who's going to step in and become that guy that we all know in the next season. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.